This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Good afternoon, everyone. Parshas Va'era, we want to dedicate this Dvar Torah to Ha'isha Chashuva Sasya Bas Avraham, who today is her yahrzeit. She was a woman who exemplified midos tovos, humility and gadlus, erlichkeit, which she passed down to her illustrious family. The pasuk says, "V'gam ani shamati es na'akas b'nei Yisrael asher Mitzrayim ma'avidim oisam va'eskar es brisi." And I also hear the outcry of the Jewish people that Mitzrayim enslaves them, and I remembered my covenant. What are these two things? God is saying that I hear the outcry of the Jewish people that Egypt is enslaving them, and I remember the covenant. What are these two factors that the Rebbe Shem is mentioning? And secondly, of what significance is it in this pasuk that it says that Mitzrayim is enslaving them? It should just say, I hear the outcry of the Jewish people that they're being enslaved. Why? We know they're in Mitzrayim. Where else are they? Why in this pasuk does it emphasize Parak Vav pasuk Hey that Mitzrayim ma'avidim oisam? Well, there is a extremely deep and profound concept offered by the great Mekubal Reb Shamshon Me'ash Tripoli. He quotes the Gemara in Chagiga on Daf Hey that Rabbi Yochanan, when he reached the following pasuk, would cry. The pasuk in the end of Devarim, "V'haya ki simtzena oisait sarois rabbis v'ra'is," and it will befall him many difficulties and travails. Says Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan would cry when he got to this pasuk. An eved, who his rabbi, who his master, would be mamtzi to him, would make him find tsaros. Does this eved have any takana? Does this eved have any remedy? So Rav Shamshon Mashapoli asks, firstly, why would only Rabbi Yochanan cry when he got to this pasuk? Every tzaddik, every Talmid Chacham reads this pasuk. Why would it only elicit crying in Rabbi Yochanan? And why does the pasuk say Rabbi Yochanan said? Why does the Gemara say that Rabbi Yochanan said that an eved who his master would be mamtzi to him tsaros? Mamtzi almost implies through others. Why that emphasis? Well, Rav Shamshon Mashapoli cites the Gemara in Brachos on Daf Hey that brings two sources that when a person suffers difficulty, tsaros, travails in this world, it cleanses a person from their sin. The Gemara cites the source of Rabbi Yochanan, and the Gemara cites the source of Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan's source was a kal v'chomer, an a fortiori argument. We know that if a master knocks out the tooth or the eye of a servant, the servant goes free. So the Gemara makes the kal v'chomer. If when a master knocks out the tooth or eye of a servant, which is only one limb, the servant goes free, Yisurin travails difficulty, which cleanses the whole body, all the more so will it cleanse a person from his sin. Reish Lakish brings a different source. Reish Lakish brings a comparison between Yisurin and salt. It says the word covenant by salt, that when you bring sacrifices, there's a covenant that it always has to be brought with salt, and it says covenant by Yisurin, by the Toichacha. Just like salt sweetens the meat, softens the meat, so too Yisurin sweeten a person, they cleanse a person. Now, says Reb Shamshon Mashapoli, there is a major difference in Jewish thought between the way Rabbi Yochanan approaches Yisurin and the way Reish Lakish approaches Yisurin. Rabbi Yochanan learns out the cleansing power of Yisurin from when a master knocks out the tooth of a servant. Well, in that case, it's only if God himself openly, directly, so to speak, gives a person a klap and gives a person Yisurin, only then we could learn out that it cleanses from when the master knocks out the tooth or eye of his servant. So that type of Yisurin would only be if it's directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. According to Reish Lakish, it doesn't matter where the Yisurim come from. It's a Gezerah Shava. We learn out from salt. Salt cleanses no matter what. Salt softens no matter what. So too, Yisurim under all conditions cleanse and soften a person. Well, Rabbi Yochanan, therefore, who learns out the power of Yisurim from a kal v'chomer, from a master who knocks out the tooth or the eye of a servant, Rabbi Yochanan then when he got to the pasuk of V'haya ki simsena oisai tsaros rabbis, Rabbi Yochanan cried, because according to Rabbi Yochanan, it's only if the master directly brings Yisurim. But if a servant is mamtzilai, if the master allows the Yisurim to befall his servant through others, then the Yisurim don't cleanse. And that is why Rabbi Yochanan cried when he got to the pasuk that speaks about the travails of the Jewish people, because since they're not always directly from God, but sometimes he, so to speak, God hides his face and allows others to inflict the Yisurim, Rabbi Yochanan said, well, then they don't cleanse and they're of no constructive purpose for the Jewish people. That's why Rabbi Yochanan specifically cried when he got to this pasuk. Reish Lakish, he would not have found these Yisurim so pointless, because according to Reish Lakish, who he learns out the cleansing power of Yisurim from salt, from the bris of Melach, he would have understood that these Yisurim still have a constructive purpose. It's Rabbi Yochanan who cries when he gets to this pasuk. And therefore the pasuk says like this. The pasuk in this week's Parsha, God says, V'gam ani shamati es nakas bnei Yisrael. I hear the outcry of the Jewish people. The problem is, Asher Mitzrayim avidim oisam. I am hiding my face, and I'm allowing the Egyptians to enslave them. In that case, in the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, these Yisurim are in a way pointless. But God says, don't worry. Va'ezkar es brisi, I will always remember the covenant of salt, which is the source of Reish Lakish, that when a Jew suffers, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. It doesn't matter if it's, so to speak, through a third party. There is a eternal covenant that when a Jew suffers, there's always a tayeles, there's always a purpose. God always allows the Yisurim to cleanse us and to elevate us and to groom us to greater heights. This is the emphasis of the end of the pasuk. Va'ezkar es brisi, I will remember the covenant of salt that says, regardless of where the Yisurim come from, the Yisurim always have a tayeles. So may HaKadosh Baruch Hu protect the Jewish people and all of us from any travails, but we do bear in mind that there is Va'ezkar es brisi, God always remembers the covenant of bris melach, that any small suffering, the Gemara in Erechim even says, if a person puts their hand in their pocket to pull out one type of coin, and they have to suffer the inconvenience of pulling out a different kind of coin, that is also considered Yisurim, and that also has a constructive purpose. So, may the Rebbe Shem be mashpia on all of us, shefa bracha v'atzlacha, only ach toiv v'chesed yerdefuni kol yemei chayinu. Wishing everyone a great day.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.